We got some comments in there on some of our videos about how our information is misleading, that we're a big laugh. Well, I hate to break it to y'all, but the information that a lot of you guys give me is actually the misleading information. Um, I put in some sources on my laptop, going in, doing all this research and shit, typing everything out, websites and everything else, but my laptop died, so it's charging. Um, but I shouldn't have to tell you guys that a lot of stuff that's posted online, like through Google search, a lot of that is misleading, guys. Um, I seen an article on there. It was on a historylessons.net, I believe, where the Deep South they were getting really big into their cotton production, and they needed more slaves. And they bought the slaves from the more northern states of the South. That is partially true because the South got their slaves mainly from Africa, but also from the northern states. Now, considering that the southern states was more profitable, yeah, of course, the north is going to sell. But what people fail to realize is the north still had their slaves. They all came from basically one area, and that was Africa, because they sold their own people to the Americas. Um, Now, as far as misleading information goes, in my personal opinion, I don't think what we're putting up is misleading, because a lot of the stuff that we know is spoken by people who actually has Confederate memorabilia, however the hell that word's pronounced, but they actually have artifacts and stuff from the war, from their ancestors, including testimonies from the soldiers that wrote in their journals during the war. Um, During my days, I have spoken to both the Confederate and the Union soldiers. Well, not actual soldiers, but their families, their descendants. And a lot of their stuff in there is pretty much stating that a lot of them didn't understand why the war was going on. All they knew is the North was wanting what they had. And the South just would not negotiate. That's basically what the war was about. Because some of the testimonies that I read, which I can't really show it because it's theirs and I don't have the right, to just take their stuff, bring it into our videos. So I'm doing this. And whether you guys want to believe me about any of this or not, that is solely upon what you want to believe. Me, I could care less what you think. But anyways, General Lee actually he didn't sell his slaves, but he freed his slaves 10 years prior to the Civil War. He didn't own any slaves at all. I mean, sure, he had slaves handed down to him through inheritance, but he freed every single one of them 10 years before the war broke out. Now, there's people going on about the Emancipation Proclamation. Yes, I'm bringing this up once again because there are still people out there who are going, no, man, that's bullshit. No, man, you're bullshit. The Emancipation Proclamation was an illegal document for the simple fact that it was written to free the slaves of the southern states. Lincoln had no jurisdiction over the South. He had no jurisdiction whatsoever because the Emancipation Proclamation was wrote after the southern states seceded from the Union. And his hopes for the Emancipation Proclamation was to pretty much get the slaves turning against their owners. But you tell me, and I'm going to ask you this question. A lot of sources online state that slaves hated the South, that they were being abused down there. But explain this to me. If they hated it so much down here, why did they stay? Why did they not fight when they had the advantage of an illegal document? Why? Why? I mean, it just don't make sense to me. If it was so horrible, then why would they stay? I mean, we didn't stay because we got tired of the corruption. We got tired of the tyranny. We got tired of the northern aggression. We seceded, but yet again, we were forced to come back. Now, keep that in mind. Key word: forcefully returned. We had no choice. The North started a war. By God, we fought. We didn't fight for the slaves. We didn't fight for anything like that. We fought to keep our homeland, to keep our families, to save our property. And I'm not talking about the slaves, because the southern states could care less about the slaves. Not as the term about, they could care less about them as in abusing them type. No. They could care less on whether they own slaves or not. Sure, a lot of them own slaves because, well, it saved them money. And if you can have people working free of pay, then back then they didn't see a big deal about it. Me personally, I don't believe in slaveholding. I don't believe in slaves at all. I don't like the idea. My brother, Dixie 316, you've already seen his color is brown. But I could never see him being held up as a slave. That just, no. I just don't believe in it. But on the other hand, Lincoln, and I know I'm ranting on about previous videos, but still, Lincoln, he wanted to save the Union, whether he could free all the slaves, whether he could keep them as slaves, or free partially and keep the other partial, or free 80% and keep the other 20%, or vice versa. He could care less about it. But the thing about it is, the ultimatum on Lincoln was, he wanted the slaves. It's just, this history has become such a big controversial debate that it's become unreal, that nobody knows. Even I don't know all the facts. I'm still learning on a daily basis. And I want to learn, but that's the difference between a lot of people out there. They don't want to learn. They go by what they hear on the media, on their TVs, on their phones, their tablets, whatever the hell else they're getting their information from. They want to rely on that. And whatever it tells them, that's what they're going to believe. So even if, a guy like me walks up to a liberal and says, hey man, you want to sit and talk? No, you're a racist. Go to hell, you motherfucker. You're a racist. my point exactly. They're not willing to learn. They want to believe what their sources tell them. Now, I know that's a little bit hypocritical of me because, well, it's not hypocritical of me because their sources are coming from the news media and social media platforms. My sources are coming from actual descendants. And yes, I have compared and contrasted my knowledge from actual descendants to what the social media is putting out. There's completely two different sides of the story on this thing. But if you ask me, speaking to an actual person who's related to any of this stuff, is a lot better source for information in my eyes. And as far as the media is going today, it's hard to believe a damn word they're saying. Hey bud, what's up? I even had people who had the nerve to tell me that flag there doesn't represent Southern pride. The flag that represents Southern pride is that one right there. Now, I've actually got something to say about that. In my eyes, it's got to do with the Confederate battle flag. In my eyes, it is Southern pride. Because if you're going to say that one is not about Southern pride, then what's the Bonnie Blue flag about? Because there's a lot of Southerners who fly the Bonnie Blue flag as Southern pride, and it's not a St. Andrew's cross. It's just a simple blue flag with a white star in the middle. That's all it is. And for those of you who's going to watch this and automatically assume that the white star represents white supremacy, you're a bunch of asshole faggots. And yes, I use that word loosely. The white star is the same meaning as the stars on the Confederate battle flag and the stars on the American flag. Each star represents a state. The Bonnie Blue flag, Texas. That star is Texas, the Lone Star State. Keep that in mind for those of you who don't know. Or how about the original colonies flag for the 13 states? Because before the Confederate battle flag came out, they had this, it was similar to the Stars and Stripes, like the American flag, but had 13 stars in a circle. That, in my eyes, is also a representation for Southern pride. The Arkansas flag, that, in my eyes, is a representation for Southern pride, because it is one of the 13 states of the Confederate States of America. So don't you dare tell me that this black and white flag does not represent Southern pride. You can believe what you want, but 3 things you never do to me. 1, threaten my family. You can threaten me all you want, but never threaten my family. 2, tell me to take my flags down. And 3, call me a racist. Now, I'm not saying anybody came in and said anything about this, but somebody did tell me about that flag not representing Southern pride. To me, it is. Yes, I'm a patriot, but I'm not a patriot for tyranny. I'm not a patriot for corruption. I am a patriot that fights against tyranny and that fights against corruption. As a lot of you guys have noticed, I have changed the name from Southern Regulators to Sons of Dixie. There's a good reason behind this. I'm the founder of this movement. I'm the one who is starting it. So far, we've only got 3 people. Myself, a general in North Carolina, and a general in Georgia. I hate to say this one, but Dixie kind of he kind of stepped back a little bit because he's got some personal problems going on. But he is still there through blood too. He's still here. He really is. I mean, not here with me physically, but he is still a part of this thing. But right now, as you know, getting it going and doing the recruiting is me, my North Carolina general, and my Georgia general. Now, they've been really good to me. They've been really good to the movement. And I thank God that they came in on this thing because they're doing a damn good job. Granted, over here in my area, you know, it's no offense to those of y'all in this area who are not like this, but a lot of the people that I've talked to either flies the rebel flag to make themselves look cool or for white supremacy, and I don't want that. I mean, yeah, the Confederate flag is cool, but if you're going to fly it, you got to be willing to stand up and fight for it if time comes. You just got to be willing to stand and fight for it. And if war ever comes, you got to be willing to stand up and fight. Hey, bud, what's up? But I switched the name up on this one because I talked to a relative of mine, you know, as an opinion here. And both my generals, they actually agreed to it. They, you know, they like the idea. It's got more of a ring to it. But got to thinking, we're a non-violent, hopefully in the future, organization. Because if we're going to fight, then we're no better than the hate groups, such as the Black Lives Matter, Antifa, or the KKK. If we're going to fight, we're no better than any of them. And we're not a hate group. We are not a hate group. We're, and the word regulators, that in its own terms means, it could end in violence. Or we could revert to violence. But violence, we don't want violence. We don't want war. Excuse me, guys. But we don't want war. We don't want violence. We don't want anything like that. What we want is to unite the people, to dry the seeds of hate by preaching the truth. And that's what we're about. And compassion is stronger than hate. If we can spread the truth through compassion, then that's the better way of doing this thing. But if you're going to go around screaming bloody murder or anything regarding, forceful attentions, you're just going to get people to hate you more. I mean, granted, I got people all over the world who hates me because of my Southern pride, because I have the Confederate battle flag. They call me racist, bigots, tyranny, treason, you name it. But you know what? I could care less, because I'm going to stand proud. I'm going to stand high. And my colors ain't coming down over my dead body. To my North Carolina general, I know up there your area is similar to what I'm going through here. But thank you for the effort you've put into what you're doing and how you're helping this organization. Thank you. As far as your hard times, I'm very sorry. Don't worry about, getting the chapters going. Don't worry about recruiting or anything like that. Focus on your wife. Georgia, thank you also for what you're doing. If you're able to get those stickers made, that would be badass. That would be awesome. You're what we need. And so are you, North Carolina. You're what we need too. You guys are awesome. You guys are the first ones to step up to help build this organization, to help build the foundation of this organization. Because what we're doing is, I'm not building like getting money and then building. No, we're not about the money. We don't care about the money. We would rather get a group of the people, unite, and then build. That way people won't look at us as money-hungry grabbers, but more of people who's building onto something together. To give us that image that we're a helpful organization. Now, granted, we're nowhere near big enough to call ourselves an organization, but you know what? This is what my aim is. Now, we're not a club. We're nothing like that. We won't claim any kind of territories. We won't do any kind of territory claim. No, we won't do it. And I'm not saying that to point fingers at different groups. No. Because, well, like I said, we're a non-violent organization and a non-profit organization that we don't want to, whether we're driving a car, riding a motorcycle, whatever, we don't want to go through someone's hometown or a city or a country or, out in the country or any place like that and have a territory. Because we don't want to end up, oh, hell, they're claiming this territory. They're in our territory. This ain't going to fly. No. We don't want any shenanigans possible. Granted, shenanigans could happen during us showing up to protests or movements for monuments and stuff like that. Granted, stuff could happen. But our goals is to keep the peace. We want to help the local authorities. We want to help the community keep the hate away. If hate groups show up, we're going to go up there and push them out. We want to protect our Confederate heritage. We want to preserve our Confederate heritage. Daughters of the Confederacy, I think that's what you're called. Please forgive me if I butchered your name. And Sons of Confederate Veterans. You guys are both awesome at what you do. I highly respect it. I really, really do. And I'm not building this organization to oppose you guys. No. I'm trying to give this nation another one to look back on. To give them more than one option. You guys are all doing an amazing job. But I feel I was brought into this world for this reason. I was born in Dixie, and I will forever reside in Dixie. I will die and be buried in Dixie. But I feel that I was born for this role. And I will fight my ass off to get this thing going. I'll work my ass off to get this thing going. If you're interested in coming on in, feel free. Just shoot me a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or you can just email me, heritagenothatenwa@gmail.com. Feel free. We welcome everybody. All races, colors, origins, heritage, cultures. We welcome everybody. The only thing we do not welcome is any kind of racial propaganda, swastikas, white supremacy shit, KKK shit. We will not tolerate any of that. No. If you are involved with any of that, or even have any kind of association or support it, or agree with it, you just keep walking, dude. Or woman. You just keep walking. We will not tolerate it. That's not what Southern Pride is about. That is not what the Confederate States of America is about. And you damn well know it. It's bullshit what the world's come to these days. It's just... it kind of makes you want to cry. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. I'm going to go ahead and speak to my generals some more. See how they're doing. I know North Carolina is going through a hard time right now, so that's fine. But Georgia, I think she's doing a pretty good job on the recruiting. I know I've already mentioned all this, but I am very proud of how far I've already come. How far we have already come in such a short amount of time. People is standing up. And if you're one of the ones that's been hiding in the bleachers or something like that, waiting for a movement to happen, now's a chance. We're not a militia or anything like that, but now is a chance. We are building the foundation. We are building we the people back together. We are uniting the people once again. But at the same time, showing the truth behind the Confederate battle flag. That's our mission. That's our goals. So, again, if you're interested, heritagenothatenwa@gmail.com. Like and subscribe, guys. Thank you.